Today on the Ask Brady Show, I talk about my personal struggles with leadership, and we share the absolute best place to find royalty-free music.
Well,
hey there! Welcome to the Ask Brady Show, episode number 43. We've got 4 great questions from the people of Pro Church Nation, and I'm joined as always, to my left, it's your right, it is Roxanne.
It's true.
True it is, behind the camera, the editing wizard himself, Jonex. And the man with the cam, Alexander Mills.
Thanks. It's not really as special as it sounds because I work here, but I'm here.
Roxanne, take us away with the first question, please.
All right. First question comes from Tony, and he sent in a video.
Tony!
Hi, Brady. Hi, Roxanne. And hello, Pro Church Nation. Thank you so much for taking my question. And I have to say, as everyone says, you are fantastic at what you do. Truly, you continue to put out quality content. All of it is immeasurably helpful for churches around the globe. We all come in agreement and say, thank you for what you do. You are fantastic at it. So keep it up. We just want to encourage you with that because all of us need help. All right? So thank you for what you're doing. I have a 2-part question. And first part is actually for you. How can we pray for you? As pastors, I'm sure all of us can come together and say, hey, these guys are doing fantastic, but I'm also pretty sure that there's probably some days that you're discouraged. We want to encourage you. Please, if there's a prayer request, put it down in the comments below, and we'll make sure to get it covered. How can we pray for you, Pro Church Nation? That's our first question. Second question is, we're a mobile church. We set up and tear down every weekend for people who don't know that. And, we want to continue to offer good quality content on the web. But we also want that content to kind of convert to an invite. Now, we don't want to do the creepy invite. As you told us, it's weird to say, hi, person we don't know. I'm somebody you don't know, and I'd love to have you come to my house at 9:30 and 11 a.m. on Sunday and take a gander. No, that's just weird and creepy. I get it. But how can we convert this into an invite? Now, you said we should offer things to them, quality content that they can get from our church and perhaps say, hey, this is a community I want to belong to. So what are your top 5 things that are quality content that a mobile church can do to offer to their community that could convert into a non-creepy invite? Thank you so much for your time. Love all you do. Can't wait to see you on the web. Bye.
Well, Tony, thanks so much for your well-produced question. Do appreciate it. And to respond to the first question in your group of 2 questions, when it comes to how you can pray for me and Pro Church Tools, I do get discouraged sometimes. Roxanne, how do I get discouraged? I'm going to pass this one to you.
Usually you just get really, really quiet, and then you're just like, things are not working. We have to blow up the company. We're shutting everything down.
That has never happened. How dare you? That's what I get for passing the question to you. I get really, really quiet. That's actually a helpful insight into my own psyche. Okay, so how you can pray for me? I think that like the thing that I most struggle with and need to improve upon and, would love some prayer for is just the balance between life and family. I have really felt like there's been a resurgence when it comes to my family life in the last couple of months and how much my wife and I are connecting and myself and my daughter are connecting. And that's been great. And so just continued stuff there. And then namely, I've been talking this a ton with our team internally, and this is some kind of like pull back the curtain sort of thing, but I invest a ton of time into so many different areas of, personal development, business development, and in many ways, I've personally been kind of thrust into being this leader over now 8 full-time staff in office. We've got about 3, 6, 9, almost identically that many remotely, full-time, part-time. And so that's a team of 20 that I have to manage, and when it comes down to meetings and, well, really other meetings, I'm just managing so many people, and it's not something that I ever expected to do or definitely wanted to do. And so a lot of the time I just do it poorly. And I was talking with the team in kind of our general meeting here with the people that work internally in office at Pro Church Tools, and I was like looking each one of them in the eye, and I said, you know what, I can remember exact specific instances where I have failed you personally. And so firstly, I want to apologize for that. And secondly, just thank you for being so, forgiving and allowing me to figure out this whole leadership thing. Running a company that's this size, at this age, with this amount of experience is a fun, exhilarating, highly difficult, and volatile task. And it's ever changing, and it's always evolving, and it's always asking more of me. And so, just pray that I'm able to lead my people well, because at the end of the day, the size that we're at, if I'm not able to lead them well, we're not going to really progress towards what we want to accomplish and how much that we want to continue to help churches in all of the different ways. And then beyond that, product launches are crazy. We are recording this the day after the Story Tape launch concluded, and it was leg day today. It was a bad coincidence. I did hit personal best on every single exercise, though, today. Bulgarian splits, Romanian
squats,
deadlifts, bicep, barbell curls, hammer curls, calf raises. My calves are looking fire. My wife has always said my calves are the best part of me. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Going deep here.
Pray for my calves,
on this episode.
Tony. Actually, don't pray for my calves. They're where they need to be. Pray for my chest. Freaking tiny, caved-in chest. Anyway, so that's the personal side. To get to your question about your church. Oh, and just one aside. I wasn't entirely sure if Tony's question was for me personally for a prayer request or Pro Church Nation. It kind of seemed to shift it at the end. So if you're watching this on YouTube and Facebook, post in the comments below. We'll do something a little different for this 43rd episode of the Ask Brady Show. Post in the comments below, what could Pro Church Nation as a whole be praying for you about? Post it in the comments below. We as a team will make sure that we pray for it, as well as everyone listening and watching can jump in and pray for you as well. Tony, back to your original kind of main question. What can you as a mobile church do to reach into your community, reach more people, and get more people to attend your church? I think the first thing that you want to do, and you kind of framed this in your question, was how can we get people to be excited about our community, is you need to invert that and show just how excited you are as a new mobile church to be invested, how excited you are being invested into your community. You kind of need to show first how much you care about your community before you can expect and hope that they will show you that same excitement in return. And, there's a lot of talk that goes in about cities about like, oh yeah, this is like the next big startup city. We saw that with San Francisco. Now you hear it about like Chattanooga. You hear it about Austin, Texas. Like, oh yeah, this is the next big place. And the reason that talk happens so much is because every city wants to have young entrepreneurs, young leaders coming in and starting new things in their city. There is a street in Niagara Falls called Queen Street, and almost every night when I take my dog for a walk, I walk down the street, and I see so many new businesses that are popping up. It's kind of like the old area of Niagara Falls where all of the locals start new businesses, cafes, restaurants. There's an axe throwing company competition league there, there's 18 different escape rooms. That is kind of like the hub of business in Niagara Falls. It's one street. It's very small. We're a small city. But everyone likes when new businesses, new people come in, or people that have lived in that city their whole life. Everyone likes when new things open in their community. Yeah. And so what you have as a mobile church, and I think it's easy as a mobile church to kind of feel disadvantaged, to kind of be like, woe is me, woe is us. We don't have our own building. We've got to set up. We've got to tear down. We've got to do all of this extra stuff. But what I think you have that's a huge advantage for you, Tony, and your church is that you have a baked-in narrative to what your church is doing that other churches don't. And that baked-in narrative is that you are a new, upstart church. You're building this from the ground up. You're starting from scratch, rags to riches sort of thing. Everyone loves that story, and everyone loves that new things are opening in their community. Everyone loves when a new cafe opens, so we got to go down and check that out. Everyone loves because it's an infusion of new energy, of excitement, of hope, and possibility for what could be down the road. And so I think that you want to dial into that narrative as much as possible. Show the behind the scenes of what it's like to lead from your perspective. Show the behind the scenes of what it's like to set up and tear down. Another specific example, one that I'd love to give, is you can prove that you're invested into the community by creating a local community events guide. This is something that we recommend all the time. So look, it's wintertime. Maybe you do it for the holiday season. If you've still got the time before the holiday season comes around, you can kind of gather 10, 20, 30 different events that are local events happening in your city. Put together a free guide that you give away on Facebook. You could promote it via Facebook ads. And then, on every third page or, the front and the back, you put in a big advertisement for your church, a big promo for that being one of the local event guides, one of the local events in the guide that people might want to be getting in touch with. You can also promote your kids' ministry. This is a great way to connect with younger families. Tony, you're a younger guy. One great way to connect with younger families is to talk about your great kids' ministry. Here's what we have for your kids. That's how you hook younger families generally. So a bunch of different ideas. One, the most macro, high-level philosophical idea that needs to filter down into everything you do is before the community can buy into you as a new church, a new religious institution within their city, they need to know that you are bought into the community first. You need to lead with that buy-in, show how much you care for your city before you can expect that buy-in in return. Ways to do that. Create the local events guide. Put on free events that benefit the community, whether this is, a Christmas celebration. You could do a big, host a big Christmas meal. You could do something like, when I say something for your community, what I don't mean is host a Christmas play, ask people to come watch your Christmas play, and then pitch your church at the end. I mean something that is extremely valuable to your community on its own. So this would be, helping the homeless, a free meal, a free festival of lights or something like that. Not come into our church, watch our production, hear the gospel message sort of thing. This is step one. This is the first interaction. And you can't go 0 to 100 real quick as much as Drake would like you to think that you can. And so events guide, prove to your community that you are bought into them before you expect it in return. Definitely highlight your kids' ministry to get that buy-in with younger families and make that connection. And then you can also, and this is a big one, really dial into the narrative of you as a startup church. It's something that more established, older churches just don't have. And there is that old saying, never underestimate humble beginnings. You never can get back to those, origins. We just talked about the Story Tape launch. As much as launch is always filled with anxiety and maybe, failed expectations or disappointments or exhilaration and complete success. You never know. However it goes, it's always exciting because you're this beginning will never happen again. We were listening to that song yesterday night because we were up until 12:40 a.m. responding to, messages as people signed up for Story Tape last minute. We had this playlist on. One of the songs that came on was Good Old Days by Kesha and Macklemore. And the song is all about how we like to think nostalgically about the way things used to be, and we don't live in the moment and recognize that what we're living through right now will eventually be what we call the good old days in a month, a year, a decade. What you're going through right now, these humble beginnings, this time where you set up, you tear down. I've been a part of churches that do that in the movie theater. I know exactly what it's like. We did it in Edmonton, the most northern major metropolis in North America, -40 in the winters. You're setting up and tearing down. You know what? Hertz frozen sound gear. That is cold as all cold can be. I know what it's like. Those will eventually become the good old days. So dial into that narrative. Don't reject it. Lean into it. And I think that can help in a big way.
Yeah. All right. Question 2. It comes from Adam, and he says, I've noticed that Pro Church Tools uses the hello@website.com format for public email. I've noticed other churches doing the same thing. Why is this format better than office at whatever their website is or info? Thanks, Brady.
Well, you're correct, Adam. So the public email for Pro Church Tools is hello@prochurchtools.com. If you want your question answered on the Ask Brady Show, send it to that email, preferably a video question. Thanks, Tony. For Storytape, it's hello@storytape.com. For Pro Video Announcements, hello@provideoannouncements.com. Shockingly for Nucleus, hello@nucleus.church. Why do we do this? Well, you could say that it's just a random choice, but I really think that it comes down to we make every effort to make the impersonal personal at Pro Church Tools. Mm-hmm. I think if you put your website, your website emails info@prochurchtools.com or office@prochurchtools.com, it's just a little bit less friendly, a little bit less personal, and a little bit less, fun and playful and informal. Anytime we can, we try to inject our own personality into what we do, because if you watch the Ask Brady Show, we like to have fun at Pro Church Tools. We like to have fun at our company. Why is it, first time I've ever going to publicly reference it on the show, 43 episodes in, why is it that we change the photos behind us in every single episode to reference a sports or a sitcom reference? Well, because it's fun. Like, we don't have to do that, but it's a fun little Easter egg. It shows off our personality, and something as simple as that can just show when someone's getting ready to email you, a cold email, reaching out, they've never talked to you before. It can just feel a little bit more friendly knowing that you're sending an email to hello@mychurch.com. It just seems more friendly than like office@mychurch.com or info. You're like, I'm not requesting info, I need prayer. Like hello@prochurchtools.com. Baked into that email is a conversation, a relationship, communication with a real person back and forth, not just, I'm going to send in this and maybe it gets to the office, maybe it gets to info and I don't know who gets it. No, there's another person on the other side of this conversation that I'm saying hello to, and they're going to respond. It's personal, it's informal, it's relational, and so that's why we do it.
Yeah. All right. Next question comes from Ollie, and he says, I have a question about background music for videos. Can you recommend the best websites for royalty-free music or where you can get cheap quality background music?
Easy answer for this one, Ollie. Soundstripe.com is the absolute best place that you can do this, in my opinion. They are the industry and market leader. It used to be, similar to StoryTape, that stock audio was pretty expensive and it costed a lot of money. Well, StoryTape Soundstripe came in and they said, yeah, we're going to give you unlimited tracks, high quality, $10 a month. Go. Changed the game. I've met with the founders. We've met in person, had a couple calls with them, over the phone. Great people, great company, and I highly recommend them. $10 a month for all of the royalty-free music that your heart could desire. If you're looking for something a little bit different, I have also used premiumbeat.com in the past. What I like about Premium Beat that is a bit unique compared to Soundstripe is that they offer you downloadable loops of an individual track. So instead of just getting like the 3-minute track, they'll give you the actual loopable elements of that track so that you can put the same part over and over and over again, and you can kind of customize the exact length. What I like about this, and generally when we use this, is in a video announcements context, when we need a certain part of a track that allows for a voiceover to be really clear. And I really like the part where, there isn't too much treble, maybe it's a little bit of bass, a little bit of drums, but it's kind of that lower, less excited, less full part of the track. And I'll use that as the music bed for video announcements so that the audio and the person speaking can really cut through and isn't being conflicted with by the music. And so I'll usually get those downloadable loops from Premium Beats. That being said, one Premium Beat track is going to cost you probably $50, whereas the Soundstripe subscription is going to be $10 per month for unlimited tracks. Finally, the third tier, if I need something extremely custom, super high quality, if I am getting very, very picky, I'll head over to musicbed.com and I'll pay $100, $200, $300 for a single track because I know I just need the perfect one. The context for that is usually when I need something for a story video and the emotion of that story and of the testimony and of that individual on camera. It's like I know exactly what I want and I need something perfect, pinpoint, accurate for that. In that instance, I'll head to musicbed.com. So 90% of the time, we're going with soundstripe.com. 5% of the time for video announcements in particular, or any type of video where there's a lot of talking happening, I'll go with premiumbeat.com. And then for the super custom, ultra high quality, pinpoint accurate, I'm getting real picky, I'll head over to musicbed.com.
All right. Last question comes from Brian, and he says, I'm going through Communications 101, and it occurred to me that one of the hardest parts is going to be convincing various groups that their event is not a top-level event that can be promoted at large. Everyone thinks their event is that important. Can anyone or can you speak to this and share some strategies on how to deal with the inevitable conflicts that will arise?
So we've been doing the Ask Brady show for almost a year now, 43 episodes in. We've been doing coaching calls on the podcast, talking with churches one-on-one, and it continually amazes me how much, pretty much everything we do comes down to managing people. We talk about digital, we talk about social, video, design. A lot of this is just, creative work using technology. But at the end of the day, as the first question kind of started off with when I was responding to that question, How can we pray for you, Brady? It all comes down to managing people and interpersonal relationships. How do you manage conflict? How do you manage failed expectations? How do you manage people feeling overlooked, feeling underappreciated, feeling like they're not being given their shot, feeling like they are being shoved under the bus for the sake of another ministry?
Yeah.
And a lot of this comes down to really setting up beforehand, building your well before you need it sort of thing, the types of procedures and systems that determine and dictate what will happen according to A, what will happen according to B, and setting up a ton of structures to determine, okay, if this happens, this will be the result, and if this happens, this will be the result. And the reason this is so important is because when you have those set up beforehand, ahead of time, when someone comes to you and says, my feelings have been hurt, I feel like I'm being overlooked, particularly in this instance when it comes to my announcement is not being shared from stage, or I am not being given enough screen time, or my ministry is not being displayed or promoted enough. You can say, well, the reason we made this decision, Carl, is because your ministry is this size, it pertains to this many people within our church percentage-wise, and it is this important to you when it comes to a monthly, weekly, or yearly event. When we add all that up, according to our systems, it determines that you are not going to get a stage announcement this week. The important thing, and that sounds really difficult, it's not when it comes to actually setting it up, is that you got to get everyone to buy into this beforehand. So you get a big meeting, you get every ministry leader set up. Maybe it's, if you're a big church, this is a lot of people. If you're a smaller church, it's not. And you say, okay, great. We want to create a streamlined and efficient way of promoting within our church that is both fair and actually successful. So what we're going to do is we have decided that, and then you just lay out the following rules. And depending on the size of your church and how many ministries you have going on, how many announcements you have currently, this is going to change. I have found that the larger the church is, usually the less announcements they have, which shows that the size of your church does not necessarily dictate how many announcements you are currently promoting and presenting. But basically, you want to say, okay, here are, in one column, all of the different channels that we could possibly promote. Mm-hmm. So, email, Facebook, Instagram, the stage, the newsletter, the bulletin, the website, and basically you take inventory of every single communication channel that you as a church are currently using. And basically, you then assign a value to each of these individual channels. So let's say an announcement from stage is 5, and a tweet on Twitter is a 1, right, and a page on the website is a 3. And basically you assign a value to each. And then you create a legend basically saying, okay, if you want to get a stage announcement, which is a value of 5, you have to hit certain criteria to basically be this tall to ride the roller coaster. So if let's say your ministry applies to less than 25% of the congregation, in that case, you can only get a level 5 promotion if you have an annual event happening.
Right.
So if you are the youth ministry and the youth ministry pertains to 25% or less of the congregation, you are only allowed to get a stage announcement if it is an annual thing, which would be, determined in your documents that you're writing out. Okay, the yearly retreat, that would allow for a stage announcement. And then what you can also do, and I've encouraged churches to do this and coached them on this before, is that you can actually, if you don't want to set up an exact legend like that is super high, not high quality, but detailed and detail-oriented, what you can do is basically you can assign a value, a credit value, to each of the promotional channels that you have, and then divvy out X amount of numbers of credits to each ministry, right, dependent on their size and their impact on the church as a whole. So maybe the youth ministry, they get 50 credits every year. And the men's ministry gets 25 credits every year. And the kids ministry gets 100 credits every year based on, the size of those ministries, how important they are to your church, how much they determine, what you're trying to accomplish as a whole. And they're arbitrary. You can kind of create them, adjust them as you go. And then say, okay, kids ministry, or in this case, youth ministry, you have 50 credits. If you want a stage announcement, great. That's going to cost you 5 credits. Now you have 45. And this kind of does two things. One, It sets up expectations beforehand, and it limits the amount of actual promotions because you're creating scarcity with the number of credits that you divvy out to each ministry. But the good thing about this is that it also gives the ministries the control. This makes them feel valued. This makes them feel like, hey, I have autonomy. And if I am determined that this bake sale needs a stage announcement, great. That is my prerogative, but I've got to spend 5 credits on it because a stage announcement accounts for 5 credits.
Yeah.
But what this does over time is it creates this scarcity and it creates this understanding within the ministries of your church that, okay, I have to be smart with how I spend my credits. I have noticed this. When you have unlimited money, you spend unlimited money. That's how you spend $130,000 on video gear in a single year. And then you realize, maybe I should be a little bit more mindful with my spending because money does run out.
Surprise.
True story. The same thing will happen in this instance. You might get some spend-happy ministries at the beginning, but you should definitely encourage them at the beginning. Say, look, you're not getting more credits. You spend them, they're gone. And so ministries will learn that, okay, this bake sale is important. But is it so important that we want to spend 5 credits on it to get a stage announcement and then an additional 3 credits to get it in the weekly newsletter and then an additional 5 credits to get it on Facebook and Instagram this week? Maybe all we need is a single Facebook post or a single mention in the newsletter. And now you get people within the ministry that maybe weren't mindful of how promotions worked before. Now they're thinking through it. And now they can empathize with you and the difficulty that you have had to manage up until this point, divvying out certain times for certain ministries to get promotions. Because we all know, if everything's important, nothing's important. And so you, as the person that's been in charge of this, you know the difficulty of managing, different ministries, figuring out what gets promoted and what doesn't. And up until this point, the ministries have not played a part in that relationship. They have just been upset at you for not promoting their stuff. Well, give them the credits. Determine each communication channel, what number of credits it requires. And then force the ministries to play within the system, play within the rules. Create the rules and then force them to play within them. Get them to agree to them beforehand, create the structure, and then everyone lives within the infrastructure. And then when things get personal, they don't get personal. You just say, Carl, you spent your credits in 1 week on the bake sale. Next time, be a little bit more thoughtful, Carl. And say it like that, Carl.
Yes. Yeah.
And what's great about this is now you can blame the structure that they agreed to, and now it's not personal.
Yeah.
It's not you being unkind towards Carl. It's Carl being an imbecile. He should have known. The bake sale wasn't that important, Carl. Also, good for Carl for being in charge of the bake sale. You know what? Gender roles. If you want to be a bake sale person, go for it, guys. I'm into it. I like baking.
I did not know that about you. Surprise.
There you go. So that's what I always recommend churches to do. It is a great way of including your ministry in promotions, creating empathy within your ministries for yourself and the difficult task that you are managing. It's great for minimizing the number of promotions that you have because scarcity becomes a thing. And, when there are no rules, you can't have a system that works. If we all go out to play a game of basketball and Roxanne starts kicking the ball and I say, Roxanne, what are you doing? You'd be like, and there are no rules? Roxanne goes, whatever, I'm kicking the ball. And I think, I guess you can kick the ball. We all know you can't kick the ball in basketball because there are rules. If you have an existing ministry, person that asked the question, church that is listening to this, if you have an existing church and you do not have these type of infrastructure set in place, these frameworks that exist, stop the chaos. Stop. Put the structures in place and then live in harmony between you and the ministries. Awesome. Well, that does it for this episode of the Ask Brady Show. If you want your question answered, you can always send in your question to a certain email, hello@prochurchtools.com. Send in a video like Tony did, and you will get prioritized. Your question will be sent immediately to the top of the queue, and we'll answer your question first. Of course, if you do just want to send in a written question, you can always do so to that same email, hello@prochurchtools.com, or on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or Twitter? Does Twitter have a thing? Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or Twitter. Is Twitter the fourth one? Do not send an Ask Brady question to Snapchat. It'll disappear, and I'll never see it again.
That's the truth. Also, he never logs in, so don't bother.
Yeah. Poor Snapchat. Anyway, thanks for watching the show. We'll see you next time. Love you, Pro Church Nation. Go seize the 167, and we'll talk soon.